ICTN enables exceptional leadership, communication and team performance with decades of practical experience and research in business psychology. ICTN is an EBW global partner. In these conversations, Niewiadomski, ICTN's founder, CEO, coach and author, explores the 6 EBWT team performance factors.
Build robust and high-performing teams with ICTN, LLP UK. Factor 3, Identity. What is the importance of identity?
If you can imagine yourself as a three-dimensional puzzle, and every piece of that puzzle is a really critical part of what makes you, you, what defines you in every possible way, that's your identity. Your education, your background, your heritage, where you came from, everything about you, your education, everything that you see in yourself. That 3D puzzle that defines you exactly in full color and all dimensions. Now, just think, it's fragile and it's powerful at the same time, because people will struggle and do whatever it takes to remain consistent with that identity, because that identity really is who you are, who you think you are, what you think you can do and cannot do, where you belong in the world is your identity. Just imagine how powerful that is, and how it can either facilitate your success if you have a robust identity and you see yourself as a successful person, or if you have a very fragile perception of who you are and you don't believe you can actually make it in this world, is your identity. So the things you do, the choices you make, where you go, how far you go in life, what you achieve and what you don't achieve, is a consequence of your identity, that mental definition of who you think you are.
How can identity help or hinder personal success?
It's a challenge and an obstacle, because if your identity is one that suggests that you are someone who has potential for success, if you are someone who feels that they belong, if you are someone who feels that you have every chance of succeeding, you're going to make very different choices than someone who believes that they are at a disadvantage, they are a victim, they don't have possibilities, they don't have resources, and that they can't possibly have them because they have been told they don't deserve, or they don't qualify, or they're not good enough. So your identity really is that total package that makes up who you are. As I said, that three-dimensional puzzle in full color and in all dimensions, that definition.
How does personal identity relate to team identity?
That's a very insightful question, because when you are part of something bigger than yourself, we have the dimension of belonging and belongingness. Do you see yourself as part of that team or separate from it? Just imagine, in a team at work, in a team in a business, do you see yourself as part of that team? Do you identify with the identity and purpose of that team, or do you see yourself as someone outside of it? And again, that can make a huge difference in terms of how much energy you will put into being part of that team. Does that team accept you? Do you accept them? So identity of a team needs to be clearly defined. And when we embrace that identity, we see ourselves as an integral part of that team. In other words, my puzzle piece, my three-dimensional puzzle, becomes part of that far more complex puzzle of so many other people contributing to the team. But there's a uniting factor. And the uniting factor is that we all buy in to that team identity, because we see ourselves as belonging to that. For example, if we see ourselves as the team that achieves, the team that does more than others, the team that goes over and beyond to support the members of that team, we will extend greater effort. And we will do whatever it takes to remain as a member of that team because we want to belong and we want to be accepted. And those are very powerful drivers in human behavior: belongingness, acceptance by others, and therefore we need to earn our place to remain as an accepted member of a team because we share the identity.
What happens when some team members don't see themselves as part of that team, and so some make efforts while others don't?
And that's not a team. It doesn't even qualify as a definition of a team, because what that is a group of people who are still struggling to define their identity and determine whether or not they want to be part of that team. Stepping aside, stepping out of it, or stepping in and joining hands with others. If you see yourself as separate and different, you never join. And if you don't join, then that team is destined to fail, because it's not a team. That group of people doesn't become a team. If you think of it again as a puzzle, the pieces don't fit together. And so it falls apart. And one or two individuals who feel that they are the ones carrying the full load will consciously or unconsciously exclude the others, and the others will stop making any kind of contribution because they feel they're not part. So the idea of a puzzle having coherent pieces that fit together and hold together in a cohesive whole will not occur. So yes, having a team identity that's clearly defined, that's accepted, that's welcomed by every member of that group is an essential prerequisite to becoming a team in business. And without that, performance will fail and the company will fail. So when we talk about teams, it's not something to be taken lightly. A team identity is a critical part of holding it together. That identity, if you like, is the glue that holds the pieces of the puzzle in one coherent whole.
And what is the role of leadership in bringing a team together?
That's a brilliant question. The role of leadership is to show the value of each member of that group and to show that they truly belong, and to select them so that they actually belong. To be inclusive, to value the contribution and the talent and the ability of each member of that team, and help others to value and appreciate the mutual contribution of each member in that team. So that's how you create that cohesion, that glue that holds all the members together to form a team with one identity. That's truly artful leadership when it happens.
Contact ICTN to discover how we can help you make the identity of your team a powerful driver of success.